I honestly am just beginning to understand that my son is a very different young man from his mother, from his father. And as he tells me, the world that you live in is very different, Mom, from the world I live in. And the thing is, how do they get it? And we know that the whole thing of coercion does not work. You know, I have so many friends who've spent lots of money trying to put them on. How do they get it? How does he get it? Because I can't, there's nothing I can do.
Let's see, it evolved when I went to high school. I really didn't enjoy my high school too much. I had a difficulty in mathematics and I excelled in everything else, so I was forced to be placed into a remedial math class, which was really degrading for me. The typical routine, I guess, was to go to school, sometimes smoke before school. I remember being caught by my mom smoking in the bathroom before school, and she was really infuriated about that. But after school, I would generally come home or go to the skate park, and if I had some pot, I would smoke it, or I'd go to the skate park and kind of binge drink with the older guys. I became more rebellious as my parents were trying to impose more limits on me, particularly my mom.
They're trying to fill a void that's very deep, and I think it families, the life of families is so different. Communities have just disintegrated, and I think it's very difficult for young people to have this human connection. It's technology, it's everything. And even though they are getting maybe more technologically savvy, the gap inside in terms of longing for uh, trusting relationships, longing for parents that are very busy. Now we don't have these extended families and communities.
I met Hugo through a kid named Ian. And Ian was kind of a negative character. He was actually like a drug dealer. He never was a true friend of mine, and he would always, put Hugo down, which I don't think it affected his self-confidence too much. But basically, everyone would hang out over there, and we at the time we were all taking MDMA, ecstasy. But I think there was a lot of internal darkness within him, and he was surrounded by a lot of negative people. I know I was a really good friend of his, but I think maybe he didn't even trust me enough to talk to me in depth about it, even though he'd mentioned it a couple times. And I think he was just sick of the lifestyle. He was sick of taking substances just to get by, not even to be happy. And everyone around him was kind of stagnant and doing the same thing, and I think he was just sick of it. I think he was searching for something deeper, and he really couldn't find it.
Watching Brad and Hugo's friends go to Hugo's funeral, thinking about his parents. Hugo was such a wonderful looking young man. I still have his picture, in my altar. Brad was telling me, because honestly, these kids, or the thing about it, I don't know how we break the friendship network. They trust each other. They talk to each other more than they talk to their parents sometimes. And Brad was enraged because he felt like Hugo's parents didn't get it. When he gets upset with me, he says, "You're going to be just like, Hugo's parents. You don't get it." And I'm really trying to understand what Hugo's trying to convey. He was sick of this world.
I remember with my friend Hugo, the day before he killed himself, he told us we were all hanging out in the creek by my house, drinking beer, and I knew something was wrong just because he told me he would pay me back. And I said, you're my friend, you don't have to pay me for anything. And then he said that if he had a gun that he would kill himself at that moment. And I remember saying, like, what the hell are you talking about? You're loved. I'm like, do you think you're the only one that struggles a lot? He also lost his dad, and I lost my dad too. And I said, if you kill yourself, then I'll kill myself. And I really didn't know that he was actually going to do it. And what really pushed him over the edge is someone that we were hanging out with told him, you're too much of a pussy to kill yourself. And he ended up killing himself the next day. So I know for me personally, in the periods where I was most depressed in my life, um, even when I was basically thinking, having suicidal ideation, I was basically willing to try almost anything. I wasn't afraid to take risks. The more depressed I was, the more likely I was to use any particular substance.
He says to me, Mom, if you just sit down and listen, and I try. Um, he says, we just wish that people could get it. They could understand our perspective, and it's lonely when our parents don't understand. Nobody understands, and we don't trust anybody but each other.
It's important to really be able to talk to your parents honestly, about the struggles that you're facing in your life, because otherwise you're just going to look to other role models or look to your friends, and they might not always be able to provide you with the best answer.
I don't think anything's going to happen until we, as adults, come together and get out of our houses and our cars and realize that we're all suffering from this increasingly horrendous, dark disease just eating at our young people and all of us. You know, and I want to do something in Hugo's memory, and this is what I keep telling my son. You know, you have a responsibility to be a part of the solution. You know, your heart was broken, but let's honor these young people who've given up hope.